Greetings, YouTube. This morning I get an update that there was a modification to Shadowrun 5th Edition, which apparently I have a digital copy of. I have no memory of that. It could have been included in some bundle I bought, but I have a copy of Shadowrun 5th Edition. Maybe I'll look at it someday, who knows. But while looking at the list of files that I had in my library on DriveThruRPG, um, I noticed I have a copy of Metamorphosis Alpha in digital form. Also, don't remember that. Um, so I gained a gander at it this morning, and I realized that this particular edition is a dice pool, which is something which really doesn't interest me in any way, shape, or form. I don't like dice pool mechanics much. Even though I've used them myself, I don't know, just not my thing. Um, but at least in their favor, they did use the dice six, which is the best die to choose if you're going to have a dice pool because they're the most ubiquitous things in the world. You can pick up 2 packs a at a dollar store and you're good to go. Um, but while flipping through it, I just did a skim of it. I just not did not This is not a review of that. I did notice a couple of things that I did like. I did like the fact that their monster descriptions are extensive. That was kind of nice. I like the fact that under their mutations, they had a manifestation feature, so you would know how this mutation would physically manifest itself in the world around it. I thought that was pretty cool. I don't know if I've seen that before. It's always been kind of left up to the GM and the player in the past. I kind of liked having a guideline to go by and to remind the player that there are ramifications to your choices, even if those ramifications have no realistic game mechanic. They're still present. Um, One thing I didn't like was the fact that they only gave you 4 animals for mutant animals. Now you could build on a template, but as an example, the 1992 edition of Gamma World had like what 40, which is a much larger sample size, making it much easier to build animal types that don't exist in the game because you now have more pieces of data to compare things to. Far superior choice. Um, but I got started to think about Metamorphosis Alpha in general. The concept being that you have the SS Warden, which is a generation ship traveling from our star system to another, and it goes through some horrible incident, and now it becomes a post-apocalyptic setting where lots of things are mutated. And the idea being that the people on board the ship don't know they're on a ship. So you are playing these characters that are going to discover that they are on board a ship traveling between the stars. And in some of the versions, that traveling means they're going to be soon in danger. So if they don't save the ship, things like that are going to go really bad for everyone. And some you're just going to continue traveling forever because the target was missed. So the generation ship is doomed eventually. Um, anyway, but the player characters get to adventure all along the way and maybe change the course of history. And in this case, literally, because they're on a ship. Um, but I realized something. If you hand the game, whether in a print or digital form, to your players, and they know they're playing Metamorphosis Alpha, where's the mystery? You know you're going to be on the SS Warden. So, what's the surprise? I mean, sure, your players can play characters that don't get it, but the players know from the get-go. And that is going to seriously affect their ability to roleplay surprise. They're always going to be thinking in the back of their minds, I'm on a ship. There's just no way to stop that. Now, the last time I ran a Metamorphosis Alpha style game on board the SS Warden, though my Warden was a cube, I borrowed that idea from the Borg. I liked that it was just very efficient. Uh, the SS Warden in this particular edition of Metamorphosis Alpha looks very vaguely, to my mind, like a Star Trek ship. All disk, some nacelles, and not much else. Um, and I never told the players that they were involved in a Metamorphosis Alpha game. I told them they're playing Gamma World. And this particular case was a 2-person game. They both played cats. They were members of a pride of varying types of cats that all came together. Obviously, a take on the Thundercat idea. And they began to adventure in the world because the weather had started to get strange, and their tribal leaders told them to go see if you could find out what's going on with the weather. Now, as far as they're concerned, this is some kind of magical, mystical quest. At least the characters that think this. The players think something's odd. There's probably some satellite that's screwing up, or something like that. So we need to figure out what's going on. It's adversely affecting our environment. In actuality, the level of the ship they were on had a major malfunction in its weather programming, and things were starting to go awry in a very dangerous way because it was going to start plunging this level into weather types that the animals on it, which was an African savanna essentially, were not designed to survive. So like Arctic things and things like that, and torrential rains, things like that, that was going to get very bad unless the player characters got around to fixing the problem. Now the game didn't last very long. It didn't actually get to that point, but it did get far enough into that they followed a river because, being smart, they realized that rivers usually lead to civilization, and it did. But they needed more. They encountered some other villages, but they began to move further around, and eventually the river led them to its end because they ran into the wall, and they found their way behind the scenes. That was a surprise because even initially they're thinking we found some kind of a base, and only after quite a bit of exploring did they realize, hey, things are really weird. That's a reveal. And you can't have that if you just hand the players Metamorphosis Alpha. And that seems to be really taking away some of the joy of playing Metamorphosis Alpha. That the characters don't know they're on a ship. And the players shouldn't know they're on a ship. So, do you agree? Do you think that you could in fact play a game from the get-go knowing you're on the SS Warden, and play it realistically and still have that sense of wonder? And are there other role-playing games or other genres of role-playing games that should also have things hidden from the players, so that their characters are fully immersed in the world and the players get to experience that surprise, that things are not as you think they are. So let's talk about the SS Warden and that joy of discovery.